Hi everyone, it's Susannah Alexander from Nutrition with Susannah here. Happy New Year! Happy New Year. It's so great to be back with all of you. So I'm live a little bit earlier than usual today to talk about health goals for 2019. You may not have health goals for 2019, but we know that the most prevalent goal that people have at this time of year, at the start of the year, is to do with their health, is to do with getting healthier. So I'm imagining that some people will have these goals. And if you do have these goals, we also know that New Year's resolutions, if you make them, are notoriously hard to keep. We know that probably only 6% of people, 6 to 8%, depending on what you read, actually achieve their New Year's goals. So Laurel says that you can see and hear me, so that's great. I know there are two people here now, so if you're not me or Laurel, please come and say hello. It's Emma. Emma, fantastic to have you here. Great. Lovely, lovely. I always like sort of seeing people I know on the feed. If I don't know you, please come and introduce yourself anyway, because I'd love to talk to you. So I'm going to be trying to keep this to half an hour today for your time and for my time. But I do love to chat in these webinars. Thank you for the like, Emma. So if there's anything you'd like to ask me as we go through this, please do that so that we can chat, because it's much nicer to chat to you than for me to just be talking all the time. So let me just briefly tell you what I'm going to cover today. I'm going to cover setting health goals. I'm going to cover mistakes people make when they're setting health goals. And I'm going to cover a formula called STICK, which I've developed and I've blogged about, and I will, when it's up and live, I'm still finishing the pictures, I will post a link to that blog so that if you don't want to keep listening, then you can read. Okay, so a lot of the stuff that I'm going to be talking about today is in the blog, so don't worry if you can't listen to the whole thing live. Okay, so the first thing is I still hear a lot of language around people saying, I'm going to go on a diet for New Year. Okay, please don't. Not that I think you shouldn't have a healthy diet. Of course, I think you should. I'm a nutritional therapist. I wouldn't be here if I didn't believe in healthy diets. But what I am uncomfortable with, let's say, is the language of people saying they're going to go on a diet. There are several reasons for this. One reason is that going on means, oh, at some point I'm going to go off and I'm going to go back to the way that I did things before. Well, if you do what you always did, you get what you've always got. So it's not a great way to think about what you're going to do. You know, I'm going to do this for a period of time and then I'm not going to do it anymore. Doesn't really work like that. It's and going on a diet, quote unquote, is extremely unlikely to work in the long term. We know that dieting has about a 95 to 98% failure rate long term. Many people, if they want to go on a diet for weight loss, they will achieve some success in the short term, but over the next few years that success is very, very likely to reverse. And the thing is, it doesn't much matter what you do in this respect. Almost all ways of doing this have the same success or failure rate as other ones. So I had to laugh the other day. I was on Facebook and there were these two posts right next to each other. So one was about, oh my gosh, you have to be a carnivore because this is the most healthy way to eat. And the very next post was, oh my gosh, you have to be a vegan because this is the very best way to eat. And they were right next to each other. And you had to go, what? Because personally, okay, it's Veganuary, so it's really great to try these things, but I'll talk about why in a minute they may not be the first things to try. So the truth is that going on a diet, whichever one you go on, is not likely to be a successful way forward in the long term. Things that work, almost anything, not anything will work for everybody. There is no one size fits all, but the thing that will work is the thing you can stick to long term. And I don't mean 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, because, you know, we live in the real world And there may be times when you want to celebrate and just enjoy it, and that's really great. But the thing that works, the thing that is most likely to work, is the thing you can stick to, and that will mean different things for different people. You know, I know, for example, there are people on here who are amazingly healthy vegans, and that's great for them, and they can stick with it, and that's awesome. There are other people that won't work for. So the thing that works is the thing you can stick to. So when you are planning your health goals in 2019, then plan the thing that you know is going to be sustainable for you most of the time, because that is the thing that will work. Extremes, unless you want to live in, you know, in a very extreme way for a very long time, are very much less likely to work. And also think about the kind of personality that you are. So yes, Laurel says she agrees, it's a lifestyle thing. Think about the kind of person that you are. I recently came across Gretchen Rubin. I don't know if you come across her. She's a sort of mindset person, and she says there are 4 different kind of personality types depending on the way that we respond to authority or to instructions. And personally, I'm a rebel. Probably won't surprise those of you who know me. And the point is with rebels is that, you know, if someone gave me a plan and said, you know, you eat this on Monday, you eat this on Tuesday, and you eat this on Wednesday, I'm going to go, no, I'm not doing that. No way am I doing that. So that doesn't work for me, but it might work for you. So think about, and if you want, you can take this Gretchen Rubin test online for free. Find out what sort of personality you are if you don't know, and plan something that suits you. Because if it doesn't suit you, and if you don't think about how it fits in with your lifestyle and the kind of things you're going to be doing, then this ain't going to work. You know, if you're somebody who stays at home a lot, then it's very easy to sort of cook a lot of meals from scratch and so on. If you're somebody who's on the road a lot, you know, I used to be an NVQ assessor, and I used to travel everywhere, and I used to work very long hours, and I used to be stuck in the middle of nowhere in some really bizarre nursery, then that kind of scenario wasn't going to work for me. So think about what your lifestyle really is, and don't just think, oh, I can change my whole lifestyle overnight, which is the next mistake I can see people making. I see people trying to do too much too quickly, and that is never going to work. So for example, you know, I see people going, oh, you know, I don't want to eat any processed food, and I want to go vegan, and I want to go gluten-free, and I want to go, and, you know, so many things at once. And it just becomes overwhelming and difficult to stick to. So I'm doing a program at the moment with one of the companies that are not associated with any companies, but one of the companies I sometimes buy from. And they're doing this 6-week program about digestive wellness. And I'm finding that overwhelming just by itself, because it's like, oh, I can't have any aubergines for 6 weeks. I practically live on aubergines. What's going on here? So again, you have to think about not doing too much at once. You know, introduce things slowly. And also, people go really extreme really quickly. Yeah, so Laurel's just got a comment here. I'm just going to read it. Too much, too quickly with losing weight and going to the gym. Then they just give up, and who can blame them? Exactly. That's the other thing people do. They kind of sign up to a gym and they go like 6 times a week to start with, and then they just find that doesn't work for their life. Okay, maybe I'll mention exercise while we're on the subject. I think with exercise, again, it's super important to find something you like. I'm going to tell my personal trainer story. So last year, I really, really wanted to get healthier for a specific reason. It was a reason that was really, really, really life-shatteringly important to me. I mean, the importance of what I was doing, you know, I can't even like start talking about how important it was, because I'll start crying. So I went to this personal trainer. It's not anyone in this group, so I'm not bad-mouthing anyone in this group. I have to tell you, it was the most awful experience. I didn't achieve anything except terrible mental health. And I did stick with it for 3 months, because I'm always determined not to give up on myself. And it was awful. You know, all I did was make myself completely mentally ill. But now I've found something I really like doing, and I do it twice a week at least, and sometimes 3 times. So I think with exercise, it's really important to find something you love, because this is your time. You're a busy professional person, and doing something you hate is just going to make you stressed. And one of the worst things you can do for your overall health is to get stressed. So one of the best things that you can do to manage your health in 2019, whatever your health goal happens to be, is to manage your stress. Dr. Rangan Chatterjee's just brought a book out about this. You know, he's I don't know if you know Rangan Chatterjee. He is the guy who does Doctor in the House on television. You know, he goes into people's homes and improves their lifestyle to improve their health. And he used to say, you know, I thought what people were eating was the biggest problem. Now I think it's their stress. So take a look when you're planning your goals for 2019, take a look at your stress and see what you can do to alleviate your stress, because that's one of the biggest things. If you stress all the time, you know, or if you're in a very stressful lifestyle situation, you're digesting poorly, which means you're not getting the nutrients you need. Your sleep is being disrupted, so you're not getting the rest that you need to be able to repair and regenerate, and it's going to have a knock-on impact on your physical and mental health. So please look at your stress. I mentioned the word planning earlier. One of the most important things that you can do is to plan. Planning is absolutely vital. I don't know how you plan. I like to use pretty planners. You know, I'm a bit of a girly girl in that respect. You don't have to do that. You might use an online tool. You might use something like MyFitnessPal. It's great for fitness goals because you can just record, you know, you just put in your food, you put in your exercise. I've got a thing called Samsung Health, which is on my phone. Sorry, I'm not advertising phones here, but if you've got another kind of phone, it's probably on your phone, which is just a free app that also helps you keep track of things and plan things. So really, if you sit down on whichever night is applicable to you, with me it's a Sunday night, you spend 10 minutes planning your meal for a week, I guarantee, 1, you're reducing stress, 2, you're never caught short, which is really important. You know, that the times when I've been an assessor on the road and working till the middle of the night and caught in the middle of nowhere with nothing but a McDonald's, if you plan, that situation's much less likely to happen. And number 3, you will save a shed load of money, because you're not constantly thinking, oh, I've got nothing to eat, and buying stuff that you don't need. I promise you will cut down on your shopping and you will save a shed load of money, and who doesn't want to do that, right? So really just taking 10 minutes out of your week to plan is going to save you stress and time and money. Okay, so please, whatever way you love to plan, take 10 minutes in your week to do that. All right, and also obviously plan your exercise if you're doing that. You know, if you want to go for a walk every day, when are you going to find time to do that? If you want to do 15 minutes of Pilates every day, when are you going to find time to do that? Make sure you plan it, because then it will happen. Okay, and Laurel says overeating can cause stress as well. Well, overeating can be a cause and a result of stress. So very often when you're stressed, you go to the fridge because you think it'll make you feel better. That's quite an important thing, is that a lot of people, I do, okay, I comfort eat, guilty. I definitely comfort eat, because, you know, when you were a little child and you were miserable, someone gave you a sweet or, you know, a comfort food, and it made you feel better, and it did sort out your problems, because you were a little child then, and your problems hopefully were reasonably uncomplex. Well, we're adults, so going to the fridge is actually not going to solve our problems. It's really important to remember that if you have problems and if you have stresses, they're very real. Trust me, in the last year, you know, I had stresses and upsets that I don't even want to talk about now. And the thing is, whatever I did to manage these, going to the fridge was not the answer. I'm not sure there was an answer. Sometimes there isn't an answer. You know, our problems are very real and they hurt. And sometimes there isn't an answer, but whatever the answer is or isn't, it's not going to the fridge. Okay, so I've talked about that. So really the big question for us is not what you can start, but what you can sustain. And I made up a little acronym. I do like acronyms, on my blog last week, which is called STICK. So this is the STICK formula for managing your health goals in 2019. So S is going to surprise you a little bit, I think. S stands for specificity isn't everything. Now, a lot of you will be very familiar with the SMART goals model of business. The SMART goals model of business says specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, time-bound, or some variation thereof. So we know about that from doing business. What I'm going to say to you is the S, the specific, is fine when it comes to certain things. For me, it's not fine when it comes to anything that involves numbers. So anything that involves numbers might be something like, I'm going to make £100,000 a year in my business, or I'm going to lose 2 stone this year, or I want to take 4 inches off my waist measurement. The reason I don't like these numbers goals is that life doesn't always comply with those numbers goals. So what happens if your goal says, I'm going to take 5 inches off my waist measurement? You know, if you've got a reasonable waist measurement, please don't do that, by the way. But if you've got a big waist like me, you might want to. So let's say I'm going to take 4 inches off my waist measurement. What happens if I only do 3? Am I a bad person? Am I a failure? No. Provided I've put the work in, of course. You know, if I've just sort of sat on my tush and not done anything towards that, then yeah, I can't expect to have a result. But if I've put the work in, and if I've done the tasks, and if I've persisted to the best of my ability, but I haven't quite got there with the numbers, then that doesn't mean that you've done anything wrong, because your body doesn't always cooperate. You know, your mind might know that you want to do a certain amount of numbers, but your body doesn't really get that. So it will do what it can do, okay? And the fact that you may not have reached that number does not mean that you've done anything wrong. It means that your body doesn't think in terms of numbers, okay? So that's why I don't like specificity regarding numbers. Ranges are fine. You know, I want to make in the region of 80 to 100,000 pounds in my business. I want to be within a healthy weight range. So where can you get specific? You can get specific, I think, in the way that you want to feel and the things that you want to be able to do. I think those are the important things to get specific about. You know, I want to be able to play more with my grandchildren. I want to be able to run around the park kicking a football with my grandchildren. I want to feel absolutely great when I go out. I want to go to a party and dance the night away and not be exhausted at the end of it and just feel absolutely terrific. I want to, really rock my social life and feel confident. I think those are the things that you can get really, really specific about and even write them down, because those are the sort of compelling goals that make us excited. You know, unless you're a real geek like my husband, actually numbers don't make us super excited a lot of the time. So get excited about your goals, but specificity with numbers isn't everything. Okay, number 2. Triumph over objection. So S was specificity isn't everything. T is triumph over objections. You know that the moment you set a health goal, there will be objections. You know that your kids are going to say, I'm not going to eat that. Or someone's going to say, well, aren't you being a bit silly? Or someone's going to say, well, you know, you're always going to be fat, so why are you even bothering? Or you know what? If nobody says those things, you're going to say it to yourself. So the thing is, you know this is going to happen. You know it, right? It always happens. So you need to find a way of countering those arguments before they happen. So, for example, I might say to someone, yeah, I do know I'll always be plus size and I'm cool with that, but I want to be healthier. I want to feel healthier. I want to feel energized. And I know that eating healthily and being physically active in a way that I love is going to help me to feel energized and be able to give more service and be able to help more people and to be able to do more of the things I love. And that's why it's important to me. So triumph over those objections by anticipating them and coming up with a counter argument that works for you. Okay, so that was S and T. I implement a plan. And I've already talked about this. So you need to plan, but you also need to implement that plan. So it needs to be something you can do, something that fits in with your lifestyle, something that's affordable for you as well. You know, if you're going to, if for example, you sort of think that you want to take out a gym membership, but really you're struggling financially, then that might not be the way to do it. You know, there are outdoor gyms that are free. There is walking. There's, you know, all sorts of things that are very, very affordable that you can do instead. So, you know, don't just write the plan and leave it in your notebook or your planner. Implement it. Implement it in a way that works for you. Okay, Emma and Laura have just joined us. Hello, don't worry about being a little bit late. I will summarise at the end. Okay, so for Emma and Laura who've just jumped on board, I'm talking about my STICK formula for meeting your health goals in 2019. S stood for specificity isn't everything, and T stood for triumph over objections, and I stood for implement a plan. By the way, people who've just joined me, and if you don't want to watch the replay, this is on my blog. So when I've finished with the graphics, I will post a link to that blog. So don't worry, you can read this if you haven't watched it or if you don't have time to watch it. Okay, so C, and I think I've covered this a bit already, stands for compelling why. Okay, why do you want to do this health goal, whatever it is? What is it that you will achieve? What is it that will be better for you when you've achieved this health goal? So, you know, if your health goal is to improve your digestion, then you can say, well, my compelling why is that I want to be able to go absolutely everywhere and not have to worry about where the nearest loo is. Okay, that sounds a bit weird to people who aren't suffering with digestive problems, but you know, I've had clients who literally, you know, have to stress and worry about where they're going to go because, you know, they have to be able to run to a decent loo at a moment's notice. So, you know, if you want to take that out of your life, that might be your compelling one. I just want to be able to go anywhere. I want to spend an afternoon in a shopping centre. I want to, you know, go for a walk in the woods for 3 hours without having to worry about where the nearest loo is and whether I can run to it in time. I think that's quite a compelling why for someone who has that issue. Somebody who wants to get fitter, your compelling why might be, you know, I've got a 4-year-old grandchild. I want to be able to run around with him and spend the whole day with him without being completely knackered. That's a compelling thing because that's someone that's special to you. So, you know, don't just kind of jump on the bandwagon and think, I'm going to do this goal because everyone says I should. Because everyone says I should or someone says I should is a really bad reason. That's never going to work. It's got to be a compelling why for you. So think about what matters to you and put your compelling why somewhere you can see it, in the front of your notebook, as your screenshot, as your screensaver, on your phone, whatever you want to do. Put your compelling why somewhere that you can see it, because we said at the beginning that you're in this for the long term. Being in something for the long term is really hard. Yeah, you know, life gets in the way, you want to give up, you can be miserable, all sorts of things can happen. I'm just going to look down here for comments. Yeah, that's okay. There's nothing I need to answer right now. Being in things for the long term is always tough because life is tough. So your compelling why is going to help you get through those tough times. And remember that there's a bigger reason behind this. There's a long-term goal that's important to you. Okay, and finally, K is kick setbacks to the curb. There are going to be setbacks. You know, if you think that you're going to set a health goal and get there with no setbacks along the way, you know already that that isn't true. So you have to think about what happens when you have a setback. Is it a big setback, a major setback, or a minor setback? So let's deal with major setbacks first. Major setbacks means sort of big things like, you know, somebody is ill, you're ill, there's a bereavement, you know, something really serious happens in your life that puts things on hold. You know what? Put them on hold, because the most important things in your life, in anybody's life, are 1, your own health, and 2, the health of the people around you. So although we've said I haven't said it yet, actually, I will say it. Let me say that one of the ways to beat objections is to say, this goal is going to be the most important thing in my life. It's going to be my number one priority. Okay, so anything else has less of a priority than this goal in my head and in my heart. However, these big, major, sad, difficult things that happen in life, the big ones, it's not that your goal is no longer important, it's that sometimes these things have to take precedence. And they may have to take precedence for a bit of time. Because some things, oh my gosh, Lindy's here. Hi, Lindy. I hope you're still here. Hello, it's really lovely to see you this year. Happy New Year. Sometimes big things have to take precedence. You know, bereavements, major illnesses, they take time to deal with. And you just have to take the time to deal with those and say, okay, this is taking precedence for now. I need to look after myself. I need to look after my family. This is the number one thing for now. Not forever, but for the time it takes. And the time it takes may be more time than you anticipated, because I think we don't take time out for convalescence these days or for grieving, and it needs to happen because those things take as long as they take. So those are major setbacks. Then there are minor setbacks. Minor setbacks means, oh, I went to a party and I drank more than I meant to drink, or you know, I was too busy to exercise this week. Those are minor setbacks, okay? What I used to say, what I quite often say actually, is draw a line under that and move on. Yeah, I don't even want you to take the time to draw the line anymore, because that thing is just not worthy of your consideration. People tend to stress about these things because they give them more importance than they need to give them. So when you have a setback, people are like, oh my gosh, I did something wrong. Oh my gosh, I'm a bad person. Oh no, I can't stick to anything. Oh, I better give up because I'm just useless, right? Forget it. You're not. You're a real person and you have real life events. And, you know, sometimes stuff happens. And all you need to do is just leave it at the side of the street where it belongs and move forward, okay? Minor setbacks are exactly that, minor. Don't fret on them, don't give them any importance, just move forward stronger and better, and know that if you have a setback, you are an absolutely normal human being, just like everybody else, okay? So that was my stick formula for sticking to your goals and for smashing your goals in 2019. I want to, I'll just go over it one more time because I know where there were some late arrivals. So S is for specificity isn't everything. T is for triumph over objections. I is for implement a plan. C is for a compelling why. And K is for kick setbacks to the curb. There's one more thing that I want to mention before I finish off here. And by the way, if you have any questions, please type them into the box. I can't see any yet, but if you have them, I'm very happy to answer them. So what happens if you're not getting results? What happens if you're putting your plan into place and it's not working for you? So then you might want to consider looking at some basic testing if you haven't done it already. You know, for example, if you're a person that wants to lose weight and you just can't, no matter what you do, then one of the things that you might want to look at is thyroid testing. If you're someone who wants to have more energy and you're just constantly fatigued, then you may want to look at iron and vitamin D testing. Those are just a couple of little examples. Your GP will do iron and vitamin D testing for you certainly once a year. They may not do it more than that. And they will do some very basic thyroid testing. I'm afraid if you want more than the basics, unless you've got a very good, helpful GP, then you may have to look outside of your GP for help with that. I think another thing I want to mention very briefly is it's good to have a baseline. So it's good to know where you're starting from. And that's something I can help with because I offer a service called a nutrition MOT. What a nutrition MOT does is that you send me your 3-day food diary. I analyze your 3-day food diary and I give you a report with lots of data on it about what's in your food diary, what's good, because I like to celebrate the good, and also what you might like to tweak to help you achieve your personal health goals. It's not about what I think your health goal should be. It's about what you think it should be, okay? So this is a service, sorry, excuse me scratching my nose. This is a service that I offer, and it's available to you. And if you would like this service, then please, or you'd like to know more about this service or chat about this service, or you have any questions, it's a great way to get started because you know where you're starting from. This is the other thing. People say, I want to get healthier, but they don't know where they're starting. They don't know what healthy was for them in the first place. They don't know that they were being unhealthy to start with. They might be doing loads of great things. And especially if you go too extreme, which is something I was talking about, you might be throwing out the baby with the bathwater. You might be throwing out some really great things you're doing, as well as some things that perhaps don't serve you so well. So, you know, please do feel free to ask me about my MOT service because I'd love to help you with that. Okay, I'm just going to look and see if there are questions. There aren't yet, but if you're watching this on catch up, then please feel free to post some questions because I'll get a notification when you do. And I will be very, very happy to answer those. So I hope I've helped you a bit with setting and sticking to your health goals in 2019. I'm going to sign off now because that's my half hour up. But as I say, you know, please do keep the dialogue going. Please feel free to message me if you have a question that you don't want to share in the group. And please do share in the group if there's anything that you'd like to ask that is okay to share with the group. Okay? I'm not sure when I'll be back with you, but I hope it's very soon. Also, I'd love you to share with me if there are any topics you'd like me to cover because I'm here for you and I want to do what's of most use to you, okay? So you can also chat with me by popping into my Facebook group, Nutrition with Susannah, and I'll put the link up and I'll put the blog link up as well. So I'm going to say goodbye now. I hope you have a very, very healthy, happy new year. And if there are any goals, health goals, that I can help you with in 2019, please get in touch. Okay? Thank you for watching, those of you who are here. Thank you for watching, those of you who are on replay, and I'll see you very soon. This is Susannah Alexander from Nutrition with Susannah saying goodbye and good health. Bye.